And
Okay, so I'll let you.
yeah.
And
So to kick us off, and we know now we're all under pressure, so we can get to the evening ceremonies and dinner on time. So can you kick us off and just tell us, what's unique about your situation? Explain a little bit what brought Coastal Links to come together. What was the problem? What was the context? And then what was your solution? And then maybe we can open it up for questions, because people are jumping out of their seats trying to rip the microphone away from me. And so, yeah.
Okay. Good day to everyone. For that portion, I'm going to give Nico, and then I'll take another portion.
Okay. Yeah, and my apologies, because I didn't introduce you to. So it's Nico and Lindani. Yeah?
Yeah.
And Rovina. Yeah, great. Do you want a chair? Come up here. Yeah, no, bring your chair here. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I think we can go straight to the slides. Yeah.
Okay.
To the first one.
This one?
Yes. What I have this. Okay, the answer in the question lies in the presentation. The first one, we all know the story of apartheid pre-1994 and how poor people, especially blacks, were excluded from resources, especially natural resources. And after 1994, we thought, this is our government, this is our democracy. But we've learned the hard way that poor people, there's no government for you. You are on your own, irrespective if it's your own people. So in 1998, we started a new fishing allocation process under the Marine Living Resources Act. And once again, small-scale fishers were excluded. Artisanal fishers were excluded because the Marine Living Resources Act have just foreseen for three category of fishers. It is a commercial fisher, it is a recreational fisher, and then there was the subsistence fishers. But by the act, it says that a person who is a subsistence fisher just go to sea, catch fish, come home and eat. Go to sea again, catch fish, come home and eat. So all our fishers were excluded between 1998 and 2005, and that was the medium-term policy. And in 2005, they started the long-term policy. Once again, we were excluded for the next 10 years. Okay? And that is the basis of the formulation of Coastal Links. So in 2004, we started this organization. Before that, it was an NGO who was working under apartheid, the apartheid government for access right to education for black people. Right? And after 1994, there was no role for them to play. So they did decide to concentrate on poor people, and what they found is that fishers in South Africa, small-scale fishers are one of the poorest fishers, of the poorest of all in South Africa. So they start to work with small-scale fishers. So it started in 2002, where they've organized a trip from the West Coast to Johannesburg for the WSSD World Summit on Sustainable Development in 2002. And after 2002, we're coming back and start organizing the communities. We was purely a Western Cape-based organization. We've got 4 provinces in South Africa. The one is in the Western Cape, dominantly Afrikaans-speaking, and also the one in the Northern Cape, Afrikaans-speaking. The one in KwaZulu-Natal, where he comes from, is Zulu, and the one in the Eastern Cape is isiXhosa. So Masifundisi was based in the Western Cape, and there's where the movement have started. So we've started off launched Coastal Links in 2004 as a Western Cape-based organization, mainly Afrikaans-speaking organization. and then we have extended to the other communities, other provinces. In 2005, after we've launched, we have decided to take our government, our minister, to court because of the exclusion. And our arguments was based on our constitution. And it took us a couple of years to reach a point where the minister was forced to agree with our arguments. I tried to shorten this whole story, but it's a lot of insight in that. But what we've done is, South Africa, we are very famous when we are feeling something, we are saying it. And we are saying it by taking it into the streets, what we call a toy. In our language we say sabalaza. We stamp our feet, walk in the streets and stamp our feet. You see, and shouting and to get the attention of other fishers, other communities. We've marched to Parliament, we've changed ourselves to Parliament. You know, we've done a lot of things to get the attention of our government and fellow South Africans. But also we've aligned ourselves of building networks with lawyers for human rights, with other NGOs, with other organizations, and the lawyers have decided that they will take the state to court. So in 2002, in 2005 we started with the process. In 2006 we went to court. The High Court, the Western Cape High Court, have agreed with us. We never started with the real court case. Never. We just test the principles of what we are saying in the court, and it went up to the appeal court in Bloemfontein for a couple of years. After a full bench of judges have decided we've got a case, and our case must be heard in a special court, not the criminal court. Our case must be heard in the equality court. Then the minister or the advisors of the minister have advised the minister that you rather go into agreement with these folks, otherwise you'll be sued. And we were, at that time, we were desperate, you know. But I think, looking back, I think that we were stupid. We were supposed to continue with the court case. But we get an out-of-court agreement, which become a settlement or agreement of the court, which says that a new policy must be started, and there must be an interim relief. Interim relief was started in 2007, and with that we started with the policy writing process. It took us a couple of years, and this interim relief, where only a few fishers have been allowed to fish legally, only 1,000 to fish legally, have becoming, it's like a full-time. Since now, we're still fishing under this interim relief dispensation. The minister, because of the elections, 2 elections have passed by, and we're still waiting for the implementation of the policy. 2 ministers later, they've increased the total because of the election to 2,000. And that's where we stand now. And that's one of the main reasons, based on what you've asked, why we have started this organization. And we've grown from, at that point of time, we are only a few communities, like 5, 6 communities. We've started coastally. Now we are a national-based organization. I was working previously for Masifundisi myself. I'm a fisher, so I've climbed the ladder a little bit, working for the NGO, and now I'm working for somebody else. And I will present it tomorrow what we are doing.
So if I was going to summarize what I've heard from this case that's different from the other cases, part of what's interesting here is that you're fighting less about like a territory of the sea and more about your right to fish. So this is very much about fishing rights for small-scale fishers, as opposed to, which is about access to resources, but it's not quite the same. The others are saying, no, this is our ground and we're going to manage this ground. And you're kind of saying, we want entrance onto the sea.
Yeah, but our entrance is based on our customary practices. So that's what we've argued. And customary law in our country stands parallel with our constitution.
Yeah. Did you want to add something?
No, I think Lindani would. But what I want to add to Nikhil is that when we started this court case, because people from all over our country was supporting us on that day. And if we could see the slides before, the judge favor was on our side. So then the judge was telling us that they need to make an exception for the small scale fishers. They need to have, the small scale fishers need to have access to the sea and also to access to the species or the the areas that you'd call land or sea, which make it easier for them to fish. So that was part of our struggle. But the challenges Lindani will, now in the moment that we stand, is when we win the court case, we do all the good governance work in the communities, building up communities and training them because they are really traditional fishers. So they only need to go to the sea, but they also want to understand what the Constitution is about. We've got soft laws like the voluntary guidelines, which we are busy now in the communities with and spreading the news about that so that they can use it for the future, because we're still waiting for the policy to be implemented. And I think that Danny will speak about that.
Thank you. The main challenge to our fishers mostly is the delay of the implementation of the policy. Because now our fishers are hungry, they want to get something to eat on the table, but which is not happening at the moment. And through all those problems, you see, that creates, that result some of illegal fishings. And because people, they can't wait, they have to get something to eat in order to survive. And all this, when they go and catch some fish there illegally, then what will happen? They will get arrested. And when they're arresting, kids are suffering, women are suffering, and also their life becomes so difficult. So the other thing that makes so difficult is that as long as it is, the implementation is in process at the moment, fishers have been verified and identified, but there are a lot of challenges. On the other side, there are new laws that are coming in that stop the fishers to get an access to the sea. Like for instance, there's some new proposed MPAs which really disallowed small-scale fishers to go there and access for fishing and to use boats. So all this destroy our rights, our long struggle where we have been fighting. So if these new laws are getting passed, that means it will fringe the rights for our fishers. So this is the current situation that we are facing on. Other things is that our customer practice undermined. So that's why we believe that the government should take into recognition of our customer practice, because we do believe that we do have a point for our customer practice, but rather than that, our government is not taking to notice that.
Can you tell us? Can you give us an example of a way that customary practices have been blocked or not recognized that's happened maybe in the last 6 months? Do you have a story you can share with us?
Yes. You see, the first man who made some presentation was presenting about the fishing crawl of some kind, and even one and the same thing somewhere around Coastal Bay communities which are doing, and it was just a family practice, generation to generation, and they were catching fishes knowing exactly how to protect the small fish not to be
so they were using some sort of structure so the fish can hide, like the casitas that we heard about earlier?
Yes, those kind of fishing traps, they allow fish to get in, but the small one can go out,
Right.
and the bigger fish remains inside.
Right.
And it was a very interesting system or style, whereby even the tourists were coming in there and learning a lot, but at the same time, people around the fishers are undermined because they get no even a cent for tourists coming in and look for their practice.
Okay.
So that was, and I'm one of those people who has made such a kind of cross, and it's taken a lot of months to do it, and very difficult.
Right.
But what is good about it, that is very good way to catch up the fish, and it conserves even the fish as well.
Right.
Yeah. One of the things that happened recently that undermined the implementation of the small-scale fisheries policy is that government is now busy with another long-term allocation process. So they've divided the resource, and they haven't set aside currently, as you speak, for us as the small-scale fishers something. So they're giving out all the rights, and what is left over, that will be us. That will be left for us. So the change that will be left was us. Now we are supposed to struggle that there's not enough for all of us. And so they, in terms of the verification and registration process, they have to exclude, once again, fishers. But the court case have informed them that they must provide for all who make a living out of the sea.
Now, I just want to add on customary rights when Dani speak to. I'm from a small village which is about 3 hours driving from Cape Town, and I'm also a member from Coastal Links. But we had like an Air Force test range there, the NEL. It's a company, a big organization there. And what they was doing, there was, for many, many years, the fishers used to have access to open land and open seas. So when they started there in 1984, they coming with nice business plans to the community and saying this, if we're going to start our test range there, you're going to be the first people who's going to be employed, you know, job opportunities and stuff. But at the end, until now, they're taking so much land from us and so much seas. It's like everywhere is conservation and MPAs. So, and they didn't inform the community. And when the boats go out to sea, they saying, giving notice, and they go in the water and say, listen, you must come out. We're going to test our missiles, which they're doing with. They must test missiles from some of the all over the world, like Singapore, Denmark, and so, which is also a concern for us. Because if you, I heard somebody talk about climate changing yesterday. If you going in my area, if you're fishing in my area, you could see there's something, the climate is changing. Because the species that were there for many, many years isn't there anymore. The waters, the streams are different. The water's supposed to be a little bit warm. It's now very freezing cold. And if you, from that bombing, the scientists say and all the other people say, no, but they got different type of, you know, the government was, different kind of stories. But if you living in my area, in my house especially, we got the special stone houses that we built for ourselves, that we use sea sand and cement and stone, specific stone that we dig out there. Is the whole town is like, you know, shaking. And for many, many years the houses were there because in Kasisbai is the name of our village. 1902 they started building the houses, and at the end now it's full of cracks. But the issue is now, if we talk about all the other issues about our access to land and sea, is that, or the constitution, is that it's difficult for us to this policy make it so difficult for us because it limited our incomes of our community and nearby areas, because of we don't know the total allowance that they're going to give us, and that the climate is changing so much in our area that we don't know what type of species will be coming up front, you know.
Just to give a little bit perspective on the issue of the issue of Rovina's place. First, they've come and introduced the MPA to the community and said that it must be a marine protected area. After that, they've allowed the NEL to build a testing bombing range, and where they test the bombs in the sea, in the same area where they've declared a marine protected area.
But I will also, I'm just going to give you a minute, just a minute. I want to also tell you, we got on the moment, the tool that we use is the voluntary guidelines, which is really good that we address them with. So, which is a soft law, but really it gives them pressure. It's a lot of help for the community to saying this, but all over the world people are signing and saying that this is the rules or this is the regulations in the voluntary guidelines. So they respond to us saying we must have a meeting this year. So if I'm coming back, I'm going to have a meeting. Me and the fishes going to have a meeting with it. But I just want to tell you there's also successes in this, and it's not only challenges by the NEL, but also the other that the concern about the species and the concerns about the seas that isn't there in our community anymore.
Maybe in our conclusion that we might just say that at the moment coastal links and Masfundis and the whole of the fishers, we are monitoring the implementation of the policy, that is it going according to our way. Then finally, if it doesn't go to our way, that means we'll take the government to court again to reclaim our rights, because we can't just let our rights go away. But this is what now we are looking for. But we believe that unity is a power. If we are together with our officials, we will win it again. Yeah. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you
for being great. Are there any questions from the audience? We can take one or two questions and then we'll move on to the next one. Yep.
One quick question, Nico. You said that the government had to take care of all the people that made their living from the sea, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Okay.
so my question is, for how many generations?
Maybe I've put it in the wrong way. Not for all the court order says that everybody was make a living out of the sea, which means that the traditional fishers,
Yeah.
they must be provided with access to the sea.
For how many generations?
Forever.
Looking back, I'm the fourth generation.
Yeah,
So looking forward, I'm still talking about fourth generation.
But I mean, do they have to take care of the children of fishermen and the children of fishermen?
What I'm no, government doesn't have to doesn't need to take care of us. We take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
They must only allow us
Right.